All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And Wolfgang, thank you for that beautiful breathing. Um, when you said there are answers beyond your explanation, and I feel that is so in tune with self-forgiveness. As you go through that process, the answers, the declarations that come for you, they just are beyond explanation. So thank you for opening up with that beautiful thought. I'm going to start. I want to just review a little bit from last week, and then I'm going to introduce Mike, and then Mike's going to talk a little bit, and we want to have a lot of time for questions today so that we know where you're at. We can, help with, that just beginning, if you're beginning self-awareness, that you come out today, that you're a little clearer, a little more of the understanding of what needs to be done so that you have a really great experience and that you will want to commit yourself to doing this on a more daily basis, and then you'll have a more deep and profound experience. Let's see. Okay. I saw this in Facebook. Steve Hardison had posted it, and I thought it really went along with the whole idea of practice. And it says, aim for progress, not perfection. And one of the things he always stresses is gradual daily improvement. Do just a little bit each day, and so that you see yourself developing a little deeper in your practice. We talked about non-useful thoughts are really non-useful listenings. So as you have that thought, the listening in your brain is filtered through the way you see things. For me, I use the example of life is hard. Everything that I was going through in my life was through that filter of life is hard. As you are letting go of all those thoughts, you'll see your mind is so much clearer. There's an opening for other things in your mind. If you can see your mind as the kingdom, and you have the choice for what you put in it. So your declarations are those seeds. For me, like I am flowing with the grace of God as I move through my life. And I keep putting that into my mind. And then it's the faith of knowing, the not giving up, it doesn't have to be, I don't have to be like the master of it today, but I'm coming from, I am flowing. And as I stay with it and I keep with my document over and over that gradual daily improvement, I'm more apt to just be that in my life. I'm going to go down to every time that you extend forgiveness, a miracle has occurred. So can you put that in your brain? Like it seems like maybe a small thing, it's really a huge accomplishment. And self-forgiveness can be as simple as when you catch that non-useful thought, you're in the car and you judge somebody maybe for standing on a corner collecting money. You have that judgment and it's just ooh, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's that quick. You notice it and you allow yourself to like gently forgive yourself. The idea that life is, if you have a thought such as life is hard, it will show up in all areas of your life, in your finances. Where's all the money going? Like it's a little different thought. Where's all the money going? but it's still part of life is hard. Or everybody get in the car. Come on, we're going to be late in my family. Life is hard to move everybody through life. Or in my relationships, I have to do everything. Life is hard because I'm doing everything. In my work, how come my boss is so crazy? That's how I'm filtering all my thoughts through that initial thought of life is hard. And then as those thoughts are so prevalent in your life, you take those memories of all these thoughts, you wake up every morning, and that's how you move through your day with life is hard. The power of self-forgiveness, it is that miracle that helps you transform from judging yourself into a new thought by clearing away that thought into I am flowing. So as you get into that space of self-forgiveness, which is that divinity, that feeling of peacefulness, and then as Wolfgang had said, an answer beyond your explanation occurs. And then you start creating a new loop that you can build on, such as I am flowing. And the chemicals that come throughout your body are more of dopamine or serotonin, as opposed to cortisol when you think a negative thought. And then you feel a feeling of love, a higher elevated emotion. And then you come down to the choice. And this is the practice. This is the gradual daily improvement. What do I choose? Do I keep telling that story all the time to my friends and to myself? Or do I choose life is flowing? Do I choose that more uplifting thought? Do I keep practicing my document? So if you can see your mind as a kingdom, and as you let go of all those thoughts, the dog poop, you're creating more space. So you can see in this picture, there's a gateway, and you are that gatekeeper of your mind. What are you going to put in? And the document, what's so great about it, it's conscious thoughts that you've put together that are just from you, that are just from your heart, that really help you to be clear on where you want to come from, who you are being. And useful listening, oops, this is not right. So as you're the gatekeeper, will you choose your useful listenings? And your declarations are your useful listenings. So the practice, the gradual daily improvement is to be your document as opposed to doing your document. It's not like I'm going to do self-forgiveness 10 times. Boom, boom, boom. It's not knocking it out. It's getting into being your document or being in the state of self-forgiveness as you move through your day. I'm going to stop there. And so I had this amazing opportunity to watch a Zoom call between Mike Kotsis and Wayne. And I was just like, oh my gosh, there are so many golden nuggets that they were discussing about self-forgiveness and everything. And I was so excited, to have Mike on this call. And you'll see, he's been doing this for many, many years, and he's really a pro at it. He has a business called Created Freedom. So that is where he's coming from, Created Freedom. And he has 4 children, and he takes in his business, he uses a lot of the ultimate coach principles plus a lot of other things that he's learned and is an expert in throughout the years. But he's also done a beautiful job of integrating a lot of the ultimate coach teachings and experiences with his family. And so I'm so happy, and I just would like to open the floor to him and just take it away, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen, and thank you, Wolfgang, Wayne. I first got to say, I'm just blown away at how many of you are committed to being here right now. I see 33 on the participants right now, and that, I'm in Eastern time, so 10 o'clock Eastern time on a Thursday, to have 33 people committed to showing up, to working on themselves and going within yourselves like that. I'm blown away. That's absolutely incredible. And each one of us walks away with one new insight or perspective. I'm just thinking about the ripple effect that creates for everybody each of us interacts with from this moment forward, with our family, with anybody we work with the cashier at the grocery store. Every single person that we interact with, we create that ripple effect, and it starts with each one of us. And that moves my heart right now. And I acknowledge each one of you for showing up for you. And thank you for that overview. Kathleen has such a beautiful way of illustrating and bringing a visual impact to what we're talking about, from non-useful listenings to self-forgiveness. Just thought I'd share briefly like what has been most impactful for me over time. And so my education's in engineering. I had been very analytical, very process-oriented, very efficient, very driven before becoming a leadership coach 13 years ago and working with entrepreneurial companies, and then ultimately one-on-one with leaders and helping them to experience a greater space of freedom in their lives. And being so head-driven, I understood a lot of what is talked about in the Ultimate Coach book in community. I thought I got it, but I got it up here until I realized, like, ooh, I gotta practice getting it down here. I gotta practice getting it in here, embodying it. And for me, this has been a journey of moving from so much focus on my head and my thoughts alone to embracing my body and my sensations that I'm experiencing in my body. And in fact, I brought this little toy that I battled sometimes with my 6-year-old daughter on from my youngest from taking from me. So I was able to see this here this morning. This sphere ball is a great illustration for what I've been learning. So we're talking about non-useful listenings. And I also encourage us to look at the felt sensation in our body, because our body is a great indicator for what we're thinking unconsciously. And so when we are tight, constricted, in fearful thinking, it's kind of like this. The ball is close. Nothing can get in and nothing can get out. But if we do what Wolfgang led us through here this morning in the breathing, this is what happens to our body. All of a sudden, inside of us, it grows. We start to gain more space. So things can get in, ideas can get in, or things can pass straight through and not hang out here. But the moment our heart closes to what's in front of us, we restrict, and things get trapped. They get rattled around. It gets stagnant, stuck, and nothing else can get in. And this has been a great illustration for me, because what I found is that our non-useful listenings in the way that we think is great, and it's very important to look at that. It's also equally as important to take a look at our body as a barometer of our thinking, as a possibility. So when I'm feeling tight and constricted, like that ball, I'm like this, I'm tight. And so this is the way I'm going to create I'm going to create from this way. And it's going to be as good as it possibly can be, but not as great as like when I'm open and relaxed and, I'm not rigid about what's occurring. And for me, self-forgiveness is an energetic release of what has been trapped. It's an energetic release when I can finally go, I forgive myself. I forgive my wife. I forgive God for the judgment that I had, that it should be for something other than it was. It's important to say it, and equally important, I believe, to feel it. To feel a release from our body, to let go. Because ultimately, when we come to that clear space that Kathleen was just talking about, we come to that clear space, that blank slate. That's when the truth can come up, when our mind is quiet, our body is loose and open. Then spirit can come through us to create what is and always has been true, that maybe just got buried underneath it all. And the other thought, there's so many different directions we could go with this. But one is, so I'll share with you this practice and we'll just open it up for Q&A. And a lot of this will come organically as we talk. One, I want to share this story about, so that the body-mind connection that has been so impactful for me. And there was a book called The Extended Mind by Anne-Marie Paul that talked about the connection about the thinking ability. It's called the extended mind. So the thinking ability beyond this part of our head. So the extended mind means uses our entire system, our entire body as a way of thinking. I wasn't used to thinking that way. I was thinking up here. And what she talked about in that book was the amount of ability that we have to, if we tap in and start noticing our body sensations, we can start to use that as a barometer of our thinking. And she found this, there was this one story that always jumps out to me in her book. She talks about, she had two groups of people that were set up playing a card game and two decks of cards out on the table. I might get some of the particulars wrong, but to get the essence of this story. They had all the participants hooked up to monitors where they were measuring their blood pressure, their perspiration levels on their skin, their pulse rate, all of these things. And so as they were measuring them, they had the two groups of people go up and start drawing cards from the decks in front of them. Now, the key with this was that they had, we'll say the deck on the right they had was rigged, and the deck on the left was just randomly shuffled. Nobody knew the participants one way from the other. But what they found is that when the participants started going to drawing cards from the decks, they found that it was 50 hands before anybody in this group said, something doesn't feel right. It was 50 hands before somebody said that they started detecting elevated levels of perspiration in their skin, elevated pulse rates, blood pressure levels on average for the group that was in this area. And so what that showed me, the aha was that it's like, wow, like there is a sense that we have with what's going on before we're even consciously aware of what thoughts are going on. If we start tuning in to the constriction in our body, there's an area for self-forgiveness. There's an area that we can start breathing into and ultimately relaxing around and letting go around, not pushing away, but just a releasing around. And as we do that, it allows us more space inside of us. And I have not heard a study done quite that way, in that way, which is just very simple and very powerful of the unconscious ability that we have for thinking. in our bodies, and it's through our habitual life experience. And some of it serves us and some of it doesn't. But when we start waking up to it, we start noticing it. We start noticing what is actually occurring. That's where we wake up to choice. That is the point where we wake up to our free will, what I call created freedom, our place to choose. And if we follow the unconscious train, we jump right on that bandwagon and we go in our constriction without even realizing it. And life is hard. As Kathleen said, life is hard. Like we're perpetuating that life is hard and not even realizing it. But the moment I realize I have choice, and if I can tune into my body, it's like, where am I feeling? Am I feeling tightness in my gut right now? Am I feeling tightness in my shoulders? What's the sensation I'm feeling? And if I apply love to that and I look at that and I ground myself, I can let that release. And then all of a sudden, I regain my ability to choose and show up. The last thing I'll share before we open for questions is that one thing that really helped me was starting to tune in to noticing. When I start tuning into noticing as a practice on a 1 to 10 scale, I would take a journal and a pen, and at the end of every day, I would write down a number. I would take inventory of the felt sensation of my body on average for that day, where 1 is tight and constricted, 10 is open and loose, and well, it's like this. A 1 is like this, a 10 is like this. And I might not have realized it during the day, but if I just take inventory and I write down a number at the end of the day, say it was a 6 today, my body was a 6 today. I didn't notice it throughout the day, but if I notice it now, all of a sudden, and 6 is not a bad number. It's just inventory. So I'm just like, if I want to make eggs in the morning and I want to make 6 eggs and I only have 3, 3 is not bad. I just have 3 and I need to go to the store to buy more. It's the same thing with this. It's like, hey, it's a 6. And if I write that down and I write down a word or two of what I notice, I'm starting to wake back up to my unconscious way of being, my habitually created document, my default path. And I start seeing that. And it's not that, oh, well, so we got to be careful with this because I know I am a recovering achiever that I always want to move forward, go, 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 go. So it's not about making it a 10 tomorrow. No, it's just taking inventory and noticing where I'm at today. And as I notice that and I breathe into that, I'm bringing more into my awareness. And as I let go, new things can show up. So I'll pause there and then we'll go with wherever we need to go on where you're on the journey of self-forgiveness, unuseful thinking. I see Damien's got a question. So Damien. Good to see you, Damien.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody. I like laughing at the truth. What I get, and everybody will get this in a second. And it's funny, it's like, I'm listening and the joke is, well, let's see if we can sneak one more thing in there. So I'll get to that in a minute. So I like it when this is, I'm very thick-headed into positiveness. I don't care what it is. I try to find the funny. You know what I mean? It's like, talking serious. I got cancer. I'll be dead in 6 months. And I meet people. Yeah, I'm going to be dead in 6 months. And they're laughing. That was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So yeah. Holding the thought. And the thing is, this has to do with Dispenza and also with Hardison. I like what Kathleen says, life is so hard. But, when it shows up at 6 different places, and then you brought up about the book and I found the extended mind. And the extended mind, how the cells, how our thoughts are condensed and how they're open. And to go even further, the thing that got, I don't know if people know this or whatever, the thing that got so fascinated with Dispenza is people started changing their body. And he's like, well, that's not even a miracle. This has to do with what you're saying. The miracle is they're creating new chemicals in their body. Where are these chemicals coming from? And they're in a ballroom. So when you said, but I should have 6 eggs. No, the point is, I only got 3. I should be so much better, but I'm not. And then you push the button at the end. Okay, this has me because I eat, sleep, and drink addiction since 1998. And the reason I say I'm a little different is, like you say, you're in recovery. So for me, I like to push. I'm recovered. I never have to worry about my old thoughts. So eventually, and I was having a conversation with Kathleen recently. I says, this is a thought that came up to me. Eventually, like my non-useful thought would be, you know what? They pissed me off. I need to go get high for a couple of days. So my non-useful thought when I showed up today, hi, how are you doing? Okay, how are you doing? So do you see sometimes non-useful thoughts are positive? Like for instance, what'd you say? You're in recovery of what?
Achieving.
Achieving. So when you catch a little angst in the body, I need to, and you're like, oh, wait a second, hold on. So I would say I catch it as a joke. So I'm curious what you think.
I love what you're bringing up, Damian, because this is so non-formulaic, right? This is so non-formulaic. There is no one way, like this is the way of self-forgiveness or letting go of non-useful listenings. My hope is that as we see how it occurs for each of us, we start to see like, well, this is not the prescription. That's why Amy wrote in the Ultimate Coach book that, that we can't put the exact way that Steve does non-useful listenings and self-forgiveness in a book, because it's like a tiger in the wild versus a tiger in the zoo. Like they got to show the tiger in the zoo, because it shows up for each, like we're going to each gravitate, like there's going to be a piece of gold for each of us that shows up in a different way. And so for you, if that's your way of relating to it, is like, hey, if it's positive, right, and it's useful, more importantly, if it's useful, regardless whether it's positive or negative, we'll take it off of that. Is it useful? Does it get us in action? Does it get us moving forward and out of hesitation, stuckness? I'll use that word.
No, exactly. Just what you're saying. Like in other words, if a non-useful thought comes in, you're welcoming it. You're welcoming it. You have to start from fighting it, because it's like, I want it to be nice. It should be nice, and I did it again. Okay, like you say, don't beat yourself up. Like you said, I'm a 6 today. Okay, tomorrow might be an 8. Tomorrow might be a 4. But it's about progress, not perfection. What Kathleen showed. So, yeah, I wanted to share that because I like what you said about relax. You're just watching yourself. And you might want to go straight, and some days you might make a left or a right, and that's okay. So like, yeah. So thank you.
Well, yeah, and one thing I'd like to add to that too, like you said about welcoming it, that is spot on from my experience. And I'll share a quick story of I often work one-on-one or with small groups, and there was a time that I went and presented to a much larger group, and I noticed my body was like this, and I started sweating, started getting sweaty armpits and all that, and my voice was even vibrating a little bit as we go. And so I remember at the beginning, I shared with everybody. I did 2 deep breaths, not as eloquently as Wolfgang did, but I had everybody do that, and I said, hey, you know what? My body is shaking a little bit right now, and it's not used to seeing what my new self really is, what my true self really is. And I welcomed it. And I said, I welcome, I'm not trying to push it away, because in the past I tried to push away, like, no, I shouldn't be shaking. I shouldn't be this. And I tried to get rid of it. And that actually made it worse. But when I welcomed it, I don't even remember it going away, but I don't remember it hanging out very long. It ended up going away very quickly on its own. And so
exactly
spot on. I just wanted to share that because I thought that's absolutely brilliant. I want to
so
double click on that one.
2 seconds real quick. So this is my analogy, what you said, okay? I have the same thing you have, the expanding ball. So for me, the truth is, it doesn't go away. It's just opening up and being part of. So this is perfect.
Beautiful.
I'll let the next people speak, but it's always positive. But you gotta be patient.
Yeah.
It's not 6 eggs, it's 3. Thank you.
Absolutely. Love it, Damian.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Sarah, how about you?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks so much for all your sharing. I've had, in between the week, we're encouraged to post in the group about questions. And it's when you guys are talking sometimes that my mind starts percolating and all these questions come. So it's just great. And I've been noticing that some days I'm just all loosey-goosey in my body, right? Like nothing is bothering me. I'm not having contraction. But then some days there are things that I definitely feel contraction, and I'm starting to like feel like bring it on in this group because that's when my nuts really show up is when I'm pissed off or annoyed. And this past week I had an experience where my neighbor like was texting me basically that I owe her money over something, and I'm like, I really had that trigger. Right? I was like, WTF. And then we were like texting back and forth, and I had all these judgments come about her. Like, and so it has to do with we have puppies. She thinks her dog is the father of the puppies. She thinks I need to pay her money because maybe these puppies are her dogs. And I don't know that that's true yet. We're having them genetically tested. And I'm so annoyed with her, pissed off at her. All these judgments are coming, right? And I want to be like, I want to be compassionate. I want to be forgiving and all of that, but I'm not. Like, I stayed in a space of like, I want to go egg her house for like one day, an entire day. And I had to pray, like, to help me release this and then to just be able to forgive. And so there's two questions that I have, which is, and that actually worked. Like I felt like I disliked her really strongly for about a day. And then when I prayed, like to help me release this and to forgive, that actually worked for me. But I'm wondering what do we do with the judgments we have about other people? And then do you ever find it hard to forgive?
Great questions. I love your share, and I love your realness and authenticity of what you're experiencing right now. And so, second question first. Yeah, I had found it was hard to forgive in the past, with some people, and I didn't realize how rooted I was in a story that this was like I thought this was reality, like this is exactly what's happening. But what I didn't realize is I'd never slowed down enough to kind of look out on other perspectives to see what other perspectives, is there a different way of looking at this situation. What I found is one of my clients was dealing with a trauma in her swim school business where she had a drowning, and something went wrong with one of the lifeguards, was not responsive enough in a timely enough manner, and the parents that lost their child in this drowning has had a vendetta for the last 7 or 8 years against the owner of this business that no longer runs this business. This business has since ceased operation. And in her process, as she's learning to forgive and the application of loving to those parents that lost their child, right? Knowing that she took a lot of the blame on herself, she's learning to let go on that and not change the past, but learning to let go of the situation and apply the question, what would love do in this scenario? What would love do? If I were loving in this scenario, what would I do? Because our minds are very powerful. Otherwise, it's coming in, and we're reacting to the scenario. And she's made substantial progress on that.
Okay, and that's such a heartbreaking story. So I think though, do you need sometimes a space to just be with all of the feelings that are coming up for you? And those are going to be partly nuts. Like you may have just a whole bunch of nuts, right? And then we would all like to just push it all aside and be like, I'm going to feel compassion for this person who's attacking me. right? But like I couldn't quite get there. Like I had to spend some time
Yeah.
in the feelings of like she's wrong about me. This is like so unfair. Like, oh, I can't stand this person. Like like is it ever going to be the goal to just be like, nope, I'm not going to feel any of that. I'm not going to think any of that because I'm going to be forgiving and compassionate. And does that actually work?
So we don't want to deny the human experience is the thing that comes to me. It's like our human experience is feeling the range of emotions of what it's like to be human, right? So anything from grief to ecstatic joy and excitement, everything in between, it's part of our human experience is to be with that. But here's the distinction, not to become it, right? Be with that,
Certainly not to
allow
take
it.
action from it. Oh my
But
word.
when we become it, if I feel anger, sadness, grief, or upset, it's different than becoming angry, upset, or grief. Like I'm becoming it, and then all of a sudden that becomes my driving force,
Ah,
right? And so the more that I can stay with the emotion of it, like we can't rush it. Like this is not a rush. We need space. So when we look at self-forgiveness and unuseful thinking, for me, some of the best things to do is to take a walk. Like literally take a walk. The harmonizing of my body as I'm walking, I'm moving my arms, my left arm, my right leg, my left leg, as I'm walking, especially in nature. Or I take my place in contemplative prayer. For me, it's the Jesus prayer. And the more that I center myself in my heart, and I come back into my breath, it allows me to welcome those feelings, to welcome those pieces, to acknowledge them, to name them. Name it. I am feeling upset. I am feeling hurt. Because if I don't name them, they have power over me. Once I name them, all of a sudden I start getting a different perspective on them. And this isn't a doing. But this is just the awareness. And as I'm moving in nature, as I'm looking at the trees and taking a walk, all of a sudden I start to open up in a different way that I couldn't see before.
yeah. So
Um,
useful. Thank you.
One other
And remind
thing.
me of the first part again, Sarah.
Sorry, Kathy. I was just, let me just sneak it in there. The question is what do we do about our judgments with others? Like, is it like, because what we're talking about is creating a document, right? So like I can see how I would like to be like, I forgive myself for judging that person as a stupid idiot or something like that. And then, feeling that, like feeling into that. But do we use those to actually craft our document?
You use them as
Mike,
pointers. Go ahead.
I
Yeah,
just want to make one comment on the previous point,
yeah,
and
go for
I
it.
have to go. Um, One of the things in working with children that I've found very helpful in working with myself is this understanding that that uncomfortable thought, which I'm a person like kind of deer in the headlights, and I like to run away from it and just push it. Like that's what I've done my whole life. But it takes about 90 seconds to 2 minutes for that feeling, because it is chemicals rushing through your body, for that feeling to dissolve. And so with kids, like I'll say, if you can just sit with this, it's so beautiful that you're angry. I love this. Let's just sit with it because we know it's going to dissolve. It's going to run through your system and you're going to feel not maybe 100% relief, but significantly better if you can sit with it. And like for me, being able to sit with a feeling like that was so difficult for me. But if I know it is at the end of a minute and a half, 2 minutes, I am going to feel somewhat better. And I love the idea of taking a walk because that is going to help. Ooh, that's going to help release it too. But that it's just part of that process. And I loved when Mike also said, like, you don't want to push that feeling away. You don't want to get rid of it. It is what is beneficial for us is to live through that feeling and allow it to pass through. So I have to go, but I just want to say thank you to everyone. And I don't know, Sarah, does that make sense, or
It does.
is
Thank
there
you.
anything else?
What I noticed about it was I kept like falling back into it. Like I can sit with my emotions, and I would just notice that through the course of the day, like the thought would come back. I would feel the feeling, right? And then I would just sit there with it and try to see if can I get my teeth a little looser? Like I'm so, like biting into it, you know?
And are you trying to sit with it? Are you trying to get rid of it? Like I found if I'm trying to get rid of it, it kind of works against me of just sitting. Okay.
I
You know,
don't
it's
think I
okay to
actually
be,
went to go sit with it until I did my meditation and prayer. And that was when it happened.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank
Kathy.
you.
I'm going to
Thank
put
you.
one acronym on the board for you. Thank you, Kathleen. That was awesome. That's the idea that got the acronym HALT. HALT has been very helpful and useful for me. So H stands for hungry. A stands for angry. L stands for lonely. And T stands for tired. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. If our bodily sensations is feeling any one of these things, or worse, all of them, the thing to do is halt, not to dig in, to stop, not to dig in and try to figure out or intellectualize it more because we're like, we don't like it. So we halt. That's the time to take a walk. That's the time to prayer. That's the time to loosen our body as it. So hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, especially if you have more than one of those things that are going horny. Yep, that's another one too, right? So the bodily sensations in it, that's a way of addressing and coming back to it at that place. And I will tell you too, Kathy pointed out a really great thing about, when, sit with it in our bodies. My two younger children, my 9-year-old and 6-year-old, this is all active conversation in our home. And my 9-year-old, he tends to get really frustrated when he's trying to do spelling or math or anything that he initially thought he wanted to do and then realized like it got hard and he didn't want to do it. So he'd get upset and he'd start like thrashing around a little bit. And we have a habit of helping to point to awareness. And so even my 6-year-old daughter, Penelope, she'll say, Sam, how's your body feeling right now? And he's like this. And then he's like, oh, it's funny. It's funny. Like he didn't realize like how constricted he was. And all of a sudden, just through the awareness, he shifts just by having the awareness pointed out how his body is feeling right now. He opens up in a different way. Now, it's not a magic trick, but it tends to help it not hang out there for so long, because otherwise we get rooted and we get angry or we get stuck and more rigid in that, and we get into that same thought feeling pattern. And then the last piece, Sarah, and I want to help get some of the other questions up, is that the judgments of when we can't forgive other people, I would encourage you to look at what is the judgment of yourself inside. So if I have trouble forgiving somebody else, there's something in it that I'm judging inside of me about me that's causing me to see that judgment out there. So first, what is the non-useful listening that I have in me about me that's creating that lack of forgiveness in somebody else? And so look within first, because I believe that every irritation, every frustration, everything that I have an issue with in somebody else is a reflection of how I see the world. And if there was a time I thought I didn't judge anybody. This was crazy. Like I thought I'm like, no, I don't judge anybody. And then I realized all of a sudden, Hardison helped point this out for me, is through a practice is like, well, why are you playing small over here in this part of your life? And you're like showing up differently in these areas. And I was making it mean something about me. And I thought it was about them. I thought it was about the group that I was with. I'm like, I don't fit in with them. Now, it doesn't mean I have to identify with everything that they do or agree with it. But first, I got to release the judgment within me that's judging them as wrong or judging them as less than or me better than them. So that's what showed up for me. I'd encourage you to look within you. Where is the non-useful listening coming within you first? Is that helpful, Sarah? Good. Ralph.
Thanks, Mike. I was getting tight because I've got a builder fixing the door, so it's more quiet out here to ask the question. I wanted to bring our awareness back to we're doing this as groups of 3 or 4, so we're not doing it with a coach. And I heard some really great things, whether it's individually or together, where we create the space to notice and welcome whatever it is coming. That's, having done this before and tried to do it a few times on my own, I'm realizing the more I create space for whatever it is that's there to be noticed, even when I'm in a group with others, there's so much room for trusting the process and just keeping with the process and taking all the beautiful ingredients we've been discussing. My question is not so specific, it's more that if you imagine yourself doing this in a group of 3, you've coached with Steve, you've done documents with your children and family and clients, what ingredients that you haven't mentioned already would you pepper into a group dynamic going through this process together?
Yeah, beautiful question. What occurs for me is on my experience at the University of Santa Monica, they operated everything in groups of 3, so trios. And so in the trios, kind of a simple way to say it, right, is the person bringing up the issue or the non-useful listening is the person that's exploring, and you had another role of one that's the coach and helping to gently inquire and question and help them to hear their own thinking. And the third person is a neutral observer holding space, holding loving space for that person. And then you can rotate the role. I'm not sure if that's how you do it or not, but the idea is that the person that is bringing up the non-useful listening, have them stay in that space, and the other 2 are holding loving space. One has a primary role of helping to gently inquire, not give advice, not tell them what to do, but not let them rush it, but really gently inquire and help them to really energetically. You got to send them energy in your body, send them love, feel the emotion of love coming from your heart as the person sitting in front of you. You do this, I mean, it's done all over Zoom, done in person, combination, doesn't really matter, but you have that space where you're not rushing it and you're allowing them to experience their process until they physically feel the release through the self-forgiveness. When they physically feel the release in self-forgiveness, then you can move on to that next place. Does that help, Ralph?
Absolutely, yeah. If
Thank you,
there's
Mike.
time,
We're gonna end on the hour.
Yeah.
So whatever questions or time is left, I'm gonna need a couple of minutes to close. But so whatever questions are left.
Perfect. Let's see if we can take one more. Wayne, does that work?
Go.
Devin?
Yeah, thank you guys. And Mike, I just want to start by sharing how impactful it was to hear your experience with your son and learning and the difference of bringing you back to awareness. Like I never had that one small shift, and I felt the implications of that. And I can only imagine what like the next generation of kids are going to be like to have this awareness. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Sarah, I wanted to share one thought that has given me a lot of peace, and I looked it up for proper attribution. It's from a Tim Ferriss show, but it was anger is often what pain looks like when it shows itself in public, and it really helped me see the same thing in others as was what we were talking about here, is like as our body as a barometer of our thinking. and to kind of get in touch with the sensation underneath the story. Yeah, my question is, this is I would say probably a pretty different way of thinking and seeing and operating in the world. And I'm curious, Mike, specifically, because it sounds like you go into maybe places that are pretty academic or engineering focused, or that's what I
I
could
used
imagine.
to.
You used to, okay. I'm curious, like if you are in environments that this is not normalized, how do you begin to introduce this worldview or like this understanding to people that have maybe never heard of it before?
Well, the first instinct that comes to me is to be it. To be it, to be the practice of it. Let people come to you because they see something different. And then that question can go in a bunch of different directions depending, are you a coach? Are you looking in a business? Are you looking one-on-one? Are you looking at families? Like there's a lot of different ways, but be what it is that you're attempting to describe. Practice being that first. Helpful?
Yeah.
Beautifully simple. Thank you.
Thank you, Devin, for the question.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Wayne. I want to give you the time. The last thing that I'll share with you, and then turn it back over to Wayne. Sometimes it's really helped me to have a tangible touchstone when I'm working on rooting out a non-useful listening or habitual pattern. In my sessions with Steve, he gave me this big gaudy watch to wear early on in our relationship. It was a big San Francisco 49ers watch. It was huge. But the SF stood for self-forgiveness in our work that we worked together. It was massive. And I had to wear our agreement was I had to wear it everywhere I went. So I wore it to church, I wore it to my client sessions, I wore it out to dinner. And at first I felt really like, ugh, like this is, ugh. And why am I doing this? And then I realized like, oh, like it became a conversation piece. And then I really started like, okay, when I'm looking at that, what am I thinking? What am I feeling right now? All right, it was a touchstone. It was a great reminder for me to help get out of my habitual thinking and feeling and go back into self-forgiveness. So I offer that. Any touchstones you have, I carry a coin in my pocket. This is a touchstone I have. Any touchstones you have, physical reminders to help point you back to where you've gone unconscious is truly, truly helpful. It's been really helpful for me. All right, Wayne, back to you. Thank you for letting me spend time with you all today. This has been a true pleasure and joy. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you for your generosity, your heart, your commitment to be here with us. I just saw Aiden put, what time is it? It's a self-forgiveness o'clock. Beautiful. So I only need a minute just to say, be sure to post any questions that came up with you today. Make a note of them and post them in the group, because all of our guests are in the group and they can answer questions there and have said they were quite willing to. So give them questions. So the only homework is clear, and that is the third video in the series of 4 with Kathleen and Dave to get even deeper into self-forgiveness and get started with that. So watch that third video in the series. And basically continue to work with each other. Posting is also a way of working with each other, because sometimes your question gets answered for another person beautifully. So contribute. So we love you. We're glad you're here. And thank you for being here. Wolfgang, if there's any last minute thing, we'll just open the mics and say goodbye.
Yeah,
unless you have something.
I will put the recording again in the group, so you can rewatch it, or you can refer it to a person who couldn't come here today. So please help each other out, and thank you for being here and doing the work. As Mike said, it's a ripple effect. It's a butterfly effect. We cannot even imagine what it will do in the world, especially with our children. just by being us, we have an impact on our children and the next generations. Thank you for being here. I love you. See you next week. Amazing work with self-forgiveness. Enjoy the journey and go deep. Ciao.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Love you guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Unmute
everybody.
and
Bye,
say
everybody.
goodbye.
Great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Good
Ciao.
day.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Hi, Renate. Well, it's late in Thailand.
She's absorbing it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Mike, for
Really, very much. Thank
all
you.
the answers and ideas, and we are aware we cannot put everything, but this is the pieces which start the process in the thinking and creative in every person, and that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I love so much that we are so much connected. I remember first time when I reached out to you was like, how can I actually connect to Mike? And now it's with the children and in the family being and on the groups. Beautiful that you're so much
Thank you.
so around.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I'm excited to see so many people on this journey together. That's amazing what you guys are creating.
Thank you.
We're excited and amazed both. We say it for sure.
Keep it rolling, right?
Yes.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Roads are
This
too
is so
small.
amazing with this movie. This pops up currently everywhere. Back to the Future is I don't know, everybody speaks and watches Back to the Future. It was quiet for 30 years.